Good morning, Rotary District 7770. Welcome to Conversations with Rotary Action People for Monday, August 16th. My name is Donald Hobus, your CWRAP post, and I'm from the Chicora Rotary Club in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Pleased to be joined today from the West Metro Rotary Club in Columbia, Mr. Tom Ledbetter. Tom, we will get to you in just a minute. I will ask everyone, please mute your lines except for Tom. Please remain on mute during the conversation. At the end, if you have a question, we will open the mics up for you to ask a question at the end of the presentation. Okay, in the chat box, we've already got Christian jumping in with his name and his club, so we're going to keep that going. I need your name and your club and answer this one question. Now, Mary Gass sets up all of our speakers, and she is currently on vacation down here at the beach in Cherry Grove. She just happened to go on vacation or start her vacation on, I think she knows what she's doing, folks, because her vacation, she got to the beach yesterday, and yesterday was National Relaxation Day. So how about that, right? Mary got it correct. So that's what I want you to say in the chat is your name, your Rotary Club, and, well, what'd you do on National Relaxation Day? And if every day is National Relaxation Day to you, what do you like to do to relax and enjoy beautiful South Carolina? All right. So, Tom, thank you for being with us. It looks like we've got a few people coming through the waiting room, so I'll continue to add them through your presentation. But I know you're going to talk about RLI. So, sir, thanks for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And this is not intended to be a one-way conversation. So anytime during the presentation, anyone has any questions, please enter in the chat. We'll be watching the chat, or you can just unmute and ask the question. So no hard feelings there as far as the presentation is concerned. I am Tom Ledbetter. I am in my 32nd year of being a Rotarian. I am the permanent executive secretary, it seems, of my Rotary Club in West Columbia, the West Metro West Columbia Club. We are now at 35 members. We've increased by 5 members since July 1. So we're very excited about what we're seeing right now. We're going to talk a little bit this morning about RLI, something that I got involved with 3 years ago. And we have another subject matter expert on RLI on the call this morning, who's Rod Funderburk. And Rod has a zone responsibility relative to RLI, as I have a district responsibility, District 7770 responsibility for RLI. So, Rod, at any time you want to add something, just jump right into the conversation. So let me share screen with you right quick, and we will get going. Okay, go into the presentation mode. So Daniel, if you'll watch the, I can't see the chat. If you'll watch the chat, please just let me know what's going on. Okay. Here again,
here for you.
Rotary Leadership Institute is a function of the Zone 33. Zone 33 has Maryland, Delaware, District of Columbia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina as part of that zone organization. I'm very pleased to say that throughout the pandemic, the Zone 33 leadership folks, we continue to conduct events in these states. Interestingly enough, as we've done these events, they have become virtual. And geographic boundaries go away when you do a virtual understanding and a virtual presentation, as we all know right now, since we're all Zoom experts at this point. The picture here is a picture of my graduating class from Rotary Leadership Institute. And the young lady sitting here in front is Maria and is Marcia. And Marcia is the ringleader of the effort over the last 18 months to bring a virtual format to the Rotary Leadership Institute. I'm very proud of what we've done and how we've gone about doing it. We've remained open for RLI through the pandemic, and we started a team in early 2020, started working on the courseware to become virtual. The first presentation was first presented in the fall of 2020. And I will say that when I say we started from ground zero, that was ground zero. For all practical purposes, we ended up having to train everybody in Zoom before we could do anything with the materials, right? Because it was new. It was something that we all needed to do, and we all have done that. And it's an extraordinary effort led by a group of extraordinary individuals to get us there. We offered these through May of this year, and we'll continue into the fall of 21 and beyond. We're excited about the opportunity now to come back into a face-to-face format. We will continue offering the Zoom virtual platform, but we're really wanting to get back to the face-to-face, because there is so much to learn and so much fellowship to be had in the face-to-face environment. So we'll talk more about that schedule in just a few minutes. As I look at RLI, make sure that you understand the structure of RLI. Rotary Leadership Institute is divided into 3 separate sessions, parts 1, 2, and 3, and each has a specific focus, and each has a potentially specific purpose as far as the leadership development in your club is concerned. Attendees will go through the 3 parts on separate days. You can only take 1 part per day of training, and it's an all-day training program for each part, and you complete the program at your own pace. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a self-paced program built around schedules that's being put together by a truly dedicated group of facilitators. And with the onset of the virtual, we've added to that an extraordinary set of producers who come and help the facilitators present each part of the virtual program. The 3 parts, part 1, part 2, and part 3. These are pictures of an old manual, and these manuals, I believe, right now are being updated and will be available for the start of our programs later on this fall. All right, so I'm moving along here pretty quick. Are there, is anything in the chat at this point?
No questions in the chat, but I will ask those of you on here listening to us today. I'm a graduate of RLI. Are you a graduate of RLI? Please post that in the chat. And if you have, you've only completed 1 course, let us know where you stand in your RLI journey.
Because I want you to be complete in your RLI journey. That's what we're wanting to do right now. And I'm sure I could entice Rod to say something else about that before it's all over with. All right, so as we move here, the parts in part 1, what you're going to cover in part 1, the roots of Rotary, how we got started, what's the foundation, what's the history of Rotary, and how it works. Secondly, what's your club? How's your club function and act and its impact in your local community and beyond your club? What's outside of your club other than other Rotary clubs and the organization and the function of the district, the zone, and Rotary International? How do we engage members? How do you initiate engagement with new members? How do you sustain engagement with your existing members? Because as we all know from both our Rotary experience and from our business and professional lives, for a volunteer organization like Rotary, the lack of engagement is probably the #1 reason that members aren't there next year, that current members aren't there and on a sustaining basis. We talk about the foundation of Rotary and how it works, the funding mechanisms for the Rotary Foundation, and we talk about service projects at this point. Now, part one is a foundation, excuse me using the word here, not a Rotary foundation, but is a foundation building block of Rotary. And it is my request that, and we'll make this before it's all over with, that every club consider sending every new member to at least part 1 of RLI in their first year of membership. Now, I want you to take that home, take that back to your president, take that back to your board, take that back to your budget finance committee, because it's a major commitment of time on the part of the Rotarian. But it's not an overwhelming cost as far as the cost of the programs are concerned. Moving into part 2, you have strategic planning, you have team building, Rotary and ethics, which has taken on an extraordinary level of interest, particularly in the virtual world, targeted service, what you can do in your community, and attracting new members. You have to continue and have to sustain the membership of your club. Our district governor, Paul, has just sent out a membership planning guide to each of the clubs that takes into account the current size of your club, how many members on average you would expect to lose each year, which means if you're going to grow, you have to cover your losses and the growth aspects of it. So it gives you an idea of what you need to do. Part 2 and part 3 in total should be targeted for any member that the club is grooming for a leadership role, a board membership role, an officer's role, etc. Part 2 and part 3, as far as I am concerned, are essential to that member's understanding of their roles and responsibilities as they advance in their efforts in the leadership of the club. Part 3, public image and public relations. Effective leadership strategies. In fact, effective leadership strategies is one of my favorite sections to facilitate. International service and what that means, to your club in West Columbia, South Carolina, or in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Club communications. How do we strengthen it? How do we keep it going? How do we make it stronger and better all the way through? And then finally, vocational service and expectations. So if you see through 1, 2, and 3, the foundation for a new Rotary member is set in part 1. Part 2 and 3 are all the things that an emerging leader in your club is going to need to understand and have the ability to maneuver your club and its members into what is necessary to be a successful part of your local community. Any questions about parts 1, 2, and 3 as we get going? I'll stop right now and say, please unmute and ask a question if there is one.
Anyone have a question?
This group's easy.
Tom,
Uh-huh.
these are all virtual, is that correct?
Well, right now, it's all virtual, but I'll show you the schedule here just a little bit of what's coming up relative to face-to-face programs and plans. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Okay. One thing that I know that I'm concerned about and stay concerned about in my role as club secretary and a member of the board is that I'm concerned about engaging our current members and attracting new members. That's what we through our programs, through our weekly programs, through our bulletins, through our communications, through our activities in the community. As we move forward and try to attract members and engage our existing members, we're facing new challenges. One of the primary challenges that I'm seeing right now as we go after younger members, younger professionals, one thing that I have noted is that they are, for all practical purposes, engaging. They have to be engaged in something before they're going to write you a check. So just inviting somebody to be a member of a Rotary Club today is different than the way we would recruit 20 years ago or 30 years ago. So we have to engage people first to get them to want to join the club. Secondly, getting new members on board. What happens in their first year? What happens in their first 6 months? Do you still tag them up with another member? All of our clubs are concerned about this happening properly, because if this doesn't happen, onboarding, engaging is not going to happen, and you're going to start losing members for inactivity. We want to retain these members as we get going. All clubs are concerned about retaining members. And particularly as we go through a situation where in a lot of clubs, there's a lot of folks that are my age that are boomers, and the boomer generation is moving out of membership in a lot of these organizations as we get on with the rest of our lives after retirement. Developing the club leadership is absolutely critical. I cannot stress enough the strengths and the weaknesses I've seen in my own club when we have done it right and when we've done it not so right as far as developing the club leadership. And particularly over the last 16 to 18 months, we've seen a lot of changes in the club due to the external environment, i.e. COVID. And folks are dropping out of rotation. Folks are committing to do it and then dropping out of rotation. And we're seeing a continuing need for leadership development in the club. It's not a once a year or twice a year thing. It is a consistent application of developing this leadership. And finally, how do you sustain the club into the future? Will the club be the same in a year as it was 5 years ago? It will not. Just take my word for it. It will not. And as we accommodate the changing in the demographics of our membership, as we accommodate the environmental concerns, those things external to the club that we have no control over, we have to worry about how do you go about sustaining a club? How do you sustain the need for the club? How do you sustain the willingness of the club to engage the problems of its community? And those are things that we're all concerned about. Well, the good news is Rotary Leadership Institute engages members. It gives members an understanding of why they are a Rotarian. And that's an extraordinary statement there. Is what's the why of a Rotary membership? Secondly, it establishes new networks. Now, these are personal networks, these are professional networks, these are Rotary networks. And the last 16 months of Rotary for me, and Rod knows because I've said this before, RLI, in my engagement, RLI started in 2018. RLI was the first activity outside my club that I'd gotten into in 30 years of Rotary. What I didn't realize was the network of folks that I have now engaged over the last 16, 18 months, and what that has meant to me personally and professionally, as even at this stage in my career, that I am seeing benefit of RLI as far as networks are concerned. It helps attract members. Knowing that there is a leadership development program that you can get into by becoming a Rotarian that is of the quality that we have here with RLI is a major attractor to folks who may not have access to that type of leadership development in their private lives or in their professional lives elsewhere. It helps retain members. It gives you a reason to remain a Rotarian. And that doesn't happen accidentally. It has to happen on purpose. It has to happen with a sense of determination that says, you are a member. We're going to do everything that we can to retain you as a member. So you have to think outside of yourself and think outside of the club and think to the individual that's in the club and what causes them to want to remain a Rotarian. And lastly, Rotary Leadership Institute develops the next generation of leaders. So if you're worried about those things that we were worried about earlier, RLI brings solutions to the table. Whether you use these solutions or not is left up to you as an individual member of your Rotary Club and to the leadership of your club. The opportunity here far outweighs any type of cost associated with RLI, and I think the face-to-face sessions are like $95 each. I think the virtual sessions, Rod, if I'm not mistaken, they're like $50 each, or is it less than $50? I actually lost that point somewhere.
$35.
$35. What a deal. What a deal. For what you get, it's the best $35 you ever spent, or the best $95, being face to face. But here's our current schedule that's going on. We're starting back up in August, and I want to make sure that you see this. Now remember, these are zone schedules. All right, so we got faculty training on the 28th of August, and that's for all the existing faculty members or anybody that's going through new faculty training. We've got a class on September the 10th in person at 7690, 7730, September 10th. And Rod, I don't know all of these, so maybe you can help me with a location here. September 24th, in person, October the 9th. Now, in our own district, we're planning, and just as soon as I can nail down the location, we're going to have an in-person on October the 9th in District 7770. That's tentative. That's what tent means, tentative at that point. 7680 is in person on October the 16th. We've got a second one on 7545 on October the 16th. Then we get back into some offerings of virtual classes in October and November. Now, these will extend on out through November and probably not in December because we get into the holiday period, but also to start back up right after the first of the year. Currently trying to finish the planning for the fall and through the end of calendar 2021, and sometime probably in the mid-October, November timeframe, we'll start publishing schedules for January, February, March around the various districts. But the opportunity to be trained is there, particularly if travel is a concern. You don't want to spend the money. We got 3 virtual seminars planned right now. So somebody in your club could take take part 1, part 2, and part 3 and finish it. This is like finish it a couple of weeks if you wanted to. So keep that in mind, and as we move this thing forward. But as a part of this presentation, and this is me as the district RLI training coordinator, I've got an ask to make. And I just mentioned it a little while ago, but I'm going to ask it again. Like every club, to make RLI a part of every new member's first year engagement. Please. All right. And that is something that your club and your members of your club would benefit from, every new member knowing at least the contents of RLI Part 1. Invaluable. And then the second part of the ask is make it part of your leadership development. When you tag somebody to become a board member and start moving them through the process of board member, treasurer, secretary, president-elect, president, get them into RLI Parts 2 and 3 as part of that leadership development. I think it goes without saying for me, having been a part of this now for almost 4 years, is that this is one of the most fundamentally enjoyable things I've done in Rotary in my entire 30-year career, is to be a part of RLI, to be a graduate of RLI, and to be a facilitator in RLI. And specifically to District 7770, we need more graduates of RLI, parts 1, parts 2, and parts 3, because from that group, Rod and I want to recruit additional facilitators. We need more facilitators in District 7770. So I'm asking you to get back to your club, get back to your leadership. If you are the president or the president-elect, take the time over the next little while to engage Rotary Leadership Institute. And because it's going to be for the benefit of your club and the community that you serve. I went through that very quickly, but I'm now to questions and comments. Point.
Couple questions.
Okay.
The first question actually comes over, as you know, I said we were going to stream this on Facebook. Actually comes from a viewer over on Facebook and says, can you ask or why is the program not endorsed by RI?
Oh, wow.
I'll
Hell,
answer
Rod,
that.
it's endorsed by RI. Is it not, Rod?
Yes. It is endorsed by RI. It is one of the many training programs that RI supports. RI focuses their training staff on the website, rotarylearning.org. But there are RLIs all over the world. In fact, each zone has an RLI. We cooperate with the Sunshine Division, which is District 34. We teach basic Rotary, and we are endorsed by Rotary International. We're not a Rotary International program. If we were, there'd be lots of staff folks up there in Evanston doing things for us, but we have volunteers, and that's why the cost of the programs are so small.
Thank you for that. Other question, Tom, was posted in the chat box, and maybe Rod can answer this or you can answer this. Are the dates that you mentioned for our district, are they on the district website?
Yes, all the dates are on the DAC-DB calendar, which corresponds with the district calendar. All you gotta do is click on the date, and it allows you to register. Bear in mind, RLI is a zone function, so no matter where the event takes place, you can register and go there.
Thank you, Rod.
And that's particularly helpful on the virtual ones. All right, because it's you'll have members on the participants on the virtual classes from 4 or 5 districts easily. Any other questions or comments at this point? I mean, you've got me, and you got our subject matter expert, Mr. Funderburg. Okay.
Well, I thank you for the presentation, Tom. It's very, very enlightening. I'm new to the club here, and so I think this would be my 3rd year. So I was in probably about a year before the COVID hit, and so I'm new to it, but I'm very excited about Rotary. Our secretary asked if we still wanted to participate, and I said more than ever. So I thank you very much. I really wish I had taken that. I wish I'd known about this the first year that I joined, because the class 1 and 2 would have been very, very helpful. Would have given me a lot of background information. Unfortunately, I'm an old man, so I don't consider myself a rising leader or anything, but I do want to participate more than ever in community service, because I think that's something that's always going to be there, and I'm always interested in doing that. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Well, thank you. Thank you for participating. And you've got here on the last slide, you've got my contact information, and you can also find me in DAC-DB within the district. And I am ready and able to, if I can, answer your questions. If I can't, I'll give Rod a call, but I'll find the answer for your question as we go through. I'm expecting that we like to use here in the district, I like to use the technical college campuses as sites for our training. And all of us in the 16 technical colleges are all scheduled classes to start next Monday. And once we get on the other side of that, we're going to see how things are going. And I imagine some of these schedule possibilities will open up to do here in Columbia, to do a face-to-face in Columbia or in Hilton Head or in Myrtle Beach or Charleston, which seem to be the popular places. But I would imagine that right after the first of the year, you're going to see a virtual class here for the district pop up. And so we will take all of that into consideration. And our objective is to sustain RLI offerings in this district and to we got one of the largest districts in the zone, but we also need to increase the number of graduates of all three in our district. So that's my objective as I understand it with Rod. So I want to thank you all for your time and attention during the presentation. I'm going to stop share right now and try to keep myself out of trouble with Mr. Funderburk, right? So we can go forward here.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your presentation. And then those of you on here, thank you for joining us. As I said, this is on the district's Facebook page. So if you want to rewatch it at any time, it's there. If you want to please share it on your club's Facebook pages, we would appreciate it. And it is being recorded and will be loaded to the YouTube channel probably in about a week or so once everything gets uploaded. So and all of the previous CWRAPs, if you missed one, you can go to the YouTube channel and watch them as well. You can go to the Facebook page and watch them. So we're everywhere. You can always access. I wonder what that guy said about RL. Well, just go back and watch it, right? Pretty easy. So awesome. Well, for those of you on here, we do this every Monday at 11 o'clock. So next Monday on August 23rd, we'll have Stephen Burritt with MAD, which is Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And then on August 30th, to round out the month of August, hard to even believe I'm saying that right now, the Richland County Coroner Rutherford, and it's her story from homelessness to coroner. And then the following week is Labor Day, so there'll be no CWRAP on that day. So, and I'll make one final call out for speakers. If you have someone that has spoken to your club recently, whether it's someone from our district, outside of our district, and you think they would be a great speaker on this program, please get their information over to Mary Gask. We're currently booking into mid to late September, and we want to keep this program going, but we need suggestions and names and possible speaker opportunities to keep it going. So, Tom, Rod, those of you on here, thanks for being here. I will conclude today with the Rotary four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth?
True.
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill or better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all?
To all concerned. Have a great week, guys. Hopefully we don't get too much rain this week. But we'll see you next Monday for the next conversation with Rotary Action People. Take care, folks. That's a wrap.